My name is Ethan Ward. I'm 34, and last week my sister texted me, "Don't come. It's for VIP kids only." She meant my 4-year-old. She meant my son watching his cousin's pool party through a phone, while I sat at our kitchen table with a neat stack of receipts that smelled like toner and old coffee. I fix things for a living, systems, passwords, broken flows, except this wasn't a bug. It was policy. She took my money, scrubbed my kid off the list, and expected a smile. I smiled anyway. Then I opened my laptop. What they didn't know was what I keep, quietly, for years. Before I continue, tell me where you're watching from, and hit like and subscribe if you've ever been betrayed by family. The kind of betrayal that doesn't scream, but cuts in silence. Because this story isn't about money. It's about the moment you finally stop fixing what everyone else keeps breaking and let the lights go out. I didn't grow up in a broken family. We looked fine in photos. 2 kids with matching sweaters, mom's perfect hair, dad's loud laugh echoing through Sunday dinners. But photos are polite liars. What they never captured was the quiet division between the fixer and the favorite. I was 8 when I realized the roles were already cast. Chloe, my little sister, was the sparkly one. She could spill milk, laugh, and someone else would wipe it up. When I spilled, Mom sighed and handed me a towel. "You're older, Ethan. You know better." That phrase would tattoo itself behind my ribs. Dad used to call me his steady hand. He'd pass me a screwdriver, wink, and say, "You'll always know how to hold things together." At the time, it sounded like pride. Later, it felt like a sentence. Our childhood house always hummed. The fridge never closed right. The heater clicked like a metronome, and Chloe's hairdryer tripped the breaker every other day. I was the one flipping it back on while she screamed from the bathroom, "Fix it, Ethan." I did, always, because that's what steady hands do. Back then, money was tight, but affection was looser, at least for Chloe. Mom had this way of turning toward her like sunlight, cooing over every drawing, every performance. When I brought home a science fair ribbon, Mom smiled distractedly and said, "That's nice, honey. Now help your sister carry her costume box." I helped. I always helped. One Thanksgiving, Dad forgot to defrost the turkey. Everyone panicked except me. I was 16. I searched the garage, found the industrial heat gun he used for paint stripping, and 20 minutes later, the bird was thawed, golden, and slightly uneven. Everyone laughed. Chloe posted a picture with the caption, "My brother, the genius." Mom reposted it with, "Couldn't survive without him." They meant it like praise. But something about that line stuck, "Couldn't survive without me." When college came, I stayed close to home. Chloe didn't. She wanted content, vibes, city energy. I worked it for a logistics company, quiet and consistent. She moved to L.A., bright and loud. Every call from her started with, "Hey, can I borrow?" and ended with, "I'll pay you back next week." Next week was a myth that never came. I kept track, of course. I always keep track. Spreadsheets don't lie, even when people do. The first real favor was rent. She'd just signed a lease on a downtown apartment with exposed brick walls and zero insulation. "It's so aesthetic," she said. "Like vintage industrial." Translation: freezing and overpriced. I sent $600 to help her settle in. She Venmo'd me a pink heart emoji. Then came utilities. Her credit was shot too many missed payments, too many impulsive treat-yourself moments, so she asked me to open the accounts under my name, just until I figure things out. I believed her. I always believed her. It was easier to keep the peace than to say no. Mom would say, "You know how Chloe gets. Just help her this once." Dad would chime in, "You're good with numbers, son." And I'd do it. Because if I didn't, the silence afterward was worse. The years blurred into a rhythm. Fix, pay, forgive, repeat. When Chloe got married, I built her flower arch out of reclaimed wood. Travis, her husband, filmed it for TikTok. He captioned it, "Family teamwork." I watched the video get 50,000 likes. Not one mention of who spent the weekend hammering nails in 90-degree heat. I told myself it didn't matter. I told myself love was practical, not performative. Then came the baby Leo. I drove across the state for the baby shower, carrying a crib that I assembled in my garage. She cried when she saw it, said, "You're the best, Eth." Then she looked into the camera and said, "Shout out to IKEA for the cutest crib ever." That was the first crack I remember feeling. Small, but sharp. Sophie, my wife, saw it too. She's the kind of woman who feels a storm before it hits. "You're giving too much," she warned me once, while I was on hold with the gas company trying to fix Chloe's billing issue. "You keep building her world at the cost of your own." I smiled at her, tired. "It's just a few clicks," she sighed. "That's how it starts." She was right. There's this memory I can't shake. One summer night, the power went out in Chloe's house while I was visiting. Everyone panicked. Travis shouted about losing Wi-Fi mid-live stream. Chloe whined about the fridge thawing. I found the breaker box, flashlight in hand. When the lights came back, she hugged me. "You're literally our superhero," she said. But in that moment, I looked around at her perfect house, her followers, her staged happiness, and realized I didn't live in the same world as her. I powered it, quietly, invisibly. Years passed. Leo grew. So did Chloe's brand. Sponsorships, partnerships, pool renovations. Every month, new bills landed in my inbox. Every time, I paid first and asked later. Until one evening, Sophie found me in the kitchen, flipping through statements, my fingers trembling. "You're still covering her?" she asked. "It's temporary." I lied. She didn't argue. She just said, "You're bleeding out in spreadsheets." That night, Noah, our son, toddled in wearing his shark towel, giggling about swimming lessons. He asked, "Can I swim with cousin Leo someday?" "Of course," I said. It was automatic. I didn't know then that someday would never come. What I also didn't know, while I was teaching my son to float in shallow water, my sister was planning a VIP pool party for her kid, complete with sponsors, photographers, and custom floats all running on utilities under my name. It would take one text to end years of habit, but before that text, there were 100 smaller ones, each one a slow cut, carving the shape of the final wound. The story of how I became Chloe's financial life support didn't start with generosity. It started with guilt. I was 24 when our parents almost split. Dad's theater job had dried up. Mom was running the house on fumes and pride. One night, I overheard them arguing in the kitchen, voices low but sharp, like knives wrapped in velvet. "We can't afford both kids in the city," Mom whispered. "One of them will have to move back." The next week, I got a promotion. I never told anyone, but I rerouted half my raise straight to their mortgage payment. The house stayed theirs. They never knew why. They thought Dad's side project took off. It didn't. I covered it quietly, because that's what I did. Chloe benefited most. When she moved back for a few months, she never noticed that the power bill was under my name. "You're good at this stuff," she said once, tossing me her broken phone charger. "You just fix things." It sounded like a compliment. It wasn't. It was a dependency in disguise. When I met Sophie, she saw through it immediately. We met in a grocery store, both reaching for the same jar of marinara sauce. She laughed first. I apologized for existing. 3 months later, she was teaching art, and I was learning what balance looked like. Sophie didn't come from the kind of family that weaponized guilt. Her mom raised her alone, tough, warm, zero nonsense. She told me early on, "If you want a healthy family, you have to unlearn half of what you came from." I thought she was exaggerating. She wasn't. Our wedding was small. Chloe cried dramatically, like she was auditioning for sympathy. She gifted us a digital frame that played an endless slideshow of her selfies. Mom called it thoughtful. Sophie rolled her eyes. I laughed. But even then, I paid for half of Chloe's hotel stay. "She's between brand deals," Mom had whispered. After that, things moved fast. I built a life steady, predictable. Chloe built an audience curated, exaggerated. She and Travis bought Uncle Paul's ranch-style house for content, because apparently, barn doors and sunlight were trending. I spent 2 weekends crawling through the crawl space, fixing leaks, and labeling the breaker panel. When I left, Chloe filmed a house tour and said to the camera, "We're so blessed, everything just works." Everything worked because I made it work. Then came the pattern, the emergency texts. "Can you fix the Wi-Fi?" The bill glitched again. "Pool guy says we need an upfront deposit. Can you cover till Monday?" "Hey, weird request, can I use your login for the water company?" Mine's being weird. I should have said no, but every time, the voice of 8-year-old me echoed, "You're older. You know better." And I did know better, but knowing doesn't stop conditioning. There were holidays when Sophie and I couldn't afford gifts, but Chloe's tree looked like a magazine cover. She'd tag sponsors, post affiliate links, And Mom would comment, "So proud of my creative girl." Not one mention of the quiet brother paying off her overdue gas bill. Once, during Christmas dinner, Dad raised his glass. "To Chloe," he said, "for chasing her dreams." Everyone clinked. I clinked too. I always clinked. Sophie just stared at me and murmured, "Does anyone ever toast you?" I smiled. No one toasts the electrician when the lights work. That line would come back to me later. One afternoon, I got a call from the electric company. "Mr. Ward," the rep said, "your card on file declined." My stomach dropped. It was the same day I'd sent Chloe money for a pool fence emergency. I checked my balance. She'd cashed my transfer 2 hours earlier. I called her. She answered mid-laugh, background music blaring. "What's up?" "You used the card tied to the utilities," I said. "Yeah, it was faster. You're so techie. I thought you'd handle it." "Handle it?" I repeated. "Don't make it weird, Eth. You know I'll pay you back." I hung up before I said something I couldn't take back. That night, Sophie and I sat on the porch. Noah was asleep, a faint baby snore through the monitor. Sophie handed me a beer. "You need to stop," she said quietly. "They're not your responsibility." I stared at the horizon. "If I pull out, the whole thing collapses." "Then let it," she said. "Maybe that's the only way they'll learn." I wanted to believe her. But every time I thought about cutting them off, Mom's voice played in my head. Family helps family. Then came the pregnancy announcement video, Chloe's masterpiece. Slow-motion confetti, fake tears, sponsored hashtags. I recognized the onesie. It was the same one Sophie had picked out and mailed with our own money. No mention, no tag, just the caption, "Manifesting gratitude." When Leo was born, I was there at 3 a.m., holding him while Travis networked in the hallway. The baby drooled on my shoulder, and Chloe took a photo. Later she posted it with the caption, "Blessed to have a supportive village." I was a village now, unpaid labor disguised as love. But nothing cut deeper than the summer before the VIP party. Leo had just turned 3. Chloe called in tears. "We can't afford the new pool gate yet," she said. "I'm scared he'll fall in." My chest tightened. I wired the money instantly. She posted a picture of the gate the next day, tagged a sponsor. Not me. That was when I stopped believing it would even out someday. It never does. By the time the VIP pool party idea surfaced, I was already numb. She'd messaged me late one night. "Hey, emergency deposit for the pool company, can you help? Promise last time." I was between invoices at work. It would make our own bills tight for a week. But I said yes. Because saying no felt like dropping a ball I'd been juggling since childhood. A week later, her text came, the one that changed everything. "Don't come. It's for VIP kids only." At first I thought it was sarcasm. Then she added, "Noah can watch online. I'll send the link." I stared at it for a long time. Sophie was washing dishes. The kitchen light flickered. I said, "She uninvited us." Sophie turned. "What?" "She said the pool party's for influencers' kids only." Sophie's eyes went cold. "After you sent the money?" I nodded. Noah toddled in, his hands full of toy fish, singing "Happy Birthday" off-key. My throat burned. I texted Chloe back. "How much did I send again?" She replied instantly. "Don't be transactional. Be grateful you get access to the content." I stared at the words. I could almost hear Dad's voice in my head, telling me to keep the peace. But something inside me, the part that had kept ledgers since I was 12, shifted. I didn't reply. I just opened my laptop. I scrolled through folders labeled bills, utilities, transfers, dates, receipts, confirmations, each one a quiet bruise. That's when I decided, if they wanted to treat me like an account, I'd finally close it. I didn't know it back then, but that small, calm decision, one quiet click, would bring down an entire illusion built on my silence. The week after that text, everything inside me went silent. Not angry, just still, like water before a storm. On Monday morning, I printed the receipts. The printer hummed, spitting out page after page, dates, payments, confirmation codes. Each sheet felt heavier than paper. It felt like years. Sophie leaned against the counter, watching. "What are you doing?" "Backing up my life," I said. She nodded once, quietly. Finally, by Tuesday, the group chat came alive. Family thread. It used to be harmless memes, recipes, vacation photos. Now it was a stage. Mom texted first. "Remember, Saturday is Leo's big day. Chloe's so stressed. Be nice, Ethan. I typed. We weren't invited. Then deleted it. Instead, I sent a thumbs up emoji. That afternoon, Chloe posted a teaser video. Slow-motion shots of balloons, pastel floats, her voiceover saying, "We're doing something magical for the VIP kids this year." In the background, I recognized the pool fence I'd paid for. My jaw clenched. At work, I couldn't focus. I sat in front of code that refused to compile, my cursor blinking like a pulse. Every time my email chimed, I half expected it to be another urgent message from her. It wasn't. It was worse silence. That night, Sophie found me staring at the screen. "She's not going to pay you back," she said. "I know. So what are you waiting for?" I looked at Noah's art taped to the fridge, handprints in blue paint forming a heart. "For the lesson to hit," I said. "On Wednesday," Mom called. Her voice was syrupy, careful. "Honey, Chloe's under a lot of pressure. Sponsors are counting on her." "She uninvited Noah, Mom." "She didn't mean it like that. You know how marketing works these days." "She meant exactly that." Mom sighed. "You always think the worst of her." I laughed softly. "I think the math of her." "Ethan," she snapped, "why can't you just let it go for once?" "Because she doesn't," I said. "She never lets go. She just takes." There was silence. Then she murmured, "You sound bitter." "I sound tired." Thursday morning, a message popped up from Travis. "Hey man, just a quick thing. Since your name's still on the utility accounts, could you hold off on any changes until after the party? We don't want interruptions mid-event." I stared at the screen. The audacity of it made me laugh out loud. "Sure," I typed. "As long as my son's not on the guest list." He replied with a single emoji, then nothing. That was when I got the DM from Mara, my cousin. "For your information," she wrote, "Chloe's planning to spin it if anything goes wrong. Says you're emotional about the invite." I blinked at the message. Emotional. That word they always used when I finally said enough. By Friday morning, the tension in the air was electric. Sophie and I ate breakfast in silence. Noah sat between us, dipping toast into orange juice. "Can we go swimming this weekend?" he asked. "Not this one, buddy." "Why not?" I looked at Sophie. She nodded slightly. "Your turn." "Because Aunt Chloe made a silly rule," I said. "Only certain kids get to swim." Noah frowned. "That's not fair. Avarious people of another world." "No," I said softly. "It's not." When he went to play, Sophie reached across the table, took my hand. "You can end it now. You know that, right?" I squeezed back. "I'm going to." That afternoon, I opened the utility portal. Gas, electric, water, all under my name, all overdue. 6 months. My stomach twisted as I clicked through each statement. They weren't just unpaid, they were ignored. I hovered over the cancel autopay button, then clicked. Once, twice, 3 times. Each click sounded like a heartbeat. When I finished, I sent Chloe one message. "Refund the $3,800 by Friday. Also, transfer all utilities to your name. I'm done covering you." She called within seconds. Her voice was high, incredulous. "You're kidding." "No. You're going to ruin my son's birthday because you're in your feelings? I'm ending my payments." "Ethan, don't start your drama right now. Sponsors are watching." "Then let them watch you pay your bills." She gasped. "You wouldn't dare. I'll destroy you in the family chat." "Do it," I said, and hung up. 8 seconds later, my phone buzzed. Group thread exploding. "Chloe. Heads up, everyone. Ethan's trying to sabotage Leo's day. He's threatening utilities." "Mom. Ethan, what's happening?" "Call me." "Dad. Son, fix this now. Be the bigger man." I didn't reply. I opened a new email instead, addressed to the entire family. Attached a single PDF. Ward family expenses 2021-2023. Page after page of line items. Pool deposit $3,800. Gas, electric, water balances. Pool gate contribution. Emergency plumber invoice. Groceries after Leo's birth. At the bottom, one sentence. "We were invited to watch the party online because our child is not VIP. Please direct your requests for generosity to the sponsors." Then I hit send. The quiet after that was sweeter than forgiveness. The email landed like a bomb. Within minutes, my phone lit up messages stacking on the screen faster than I could read them. "Mom, how could you embarrass your sister like that?" "Dad, Delete that email. We talk in person, not on the internet. Chloe. You're insane. Who keeps receipts for groceries? I didn't answer any of them. Instead, I closed the laptop, poured myself a glass of water, and just listened to the tick of the clock, the hum of the fridge, the silence that followed honesty. By nightfall, they'd moved from angry to performative. Chloe posted a cryptic story, a black screen with text, "Sometimes family is your biggest obstacle." Travis added a fire emoji. Sophie scrolled, shook her head. She's baiting you. I know. What are you going to do? Nothing, I said. For now. That was the part no one ever understood about me. I don't rage. I prepare. Saturday morning, the party day. The heat came early, pressing through the kitchen windows. Noah was in his pajamas, building towers of cereal boxes, humming. Sophie made coffee, her movements calm but sharp, like she was waiting for impact. At 9:58 a.m., my phone buzzed. Chloe's message popped up. Livestream link for VIP Splash. Starts now. She sent it to the whole family group chat. I didn't click. Sophie did. The screen showed perfect pastel, chaos, white balloons, matching swimsuits, influencers waving at cameras. Chloe's laugh echoed through the speaker, sweet and hollow. Travis's voice boomed from behind the camera. Big shout out to our sponsors for making this magical day possible. Sophie muted the video. You okay? I'm good, I said. I just want to see how long magic runs without electricity. 10:07 a.m. Chloe called. I didn't answer. 10:13 a.m. Another call. Declined. 10:22 a.m. Voicemail notification. I pressed play. Her voice was clipped, controlled. Ethan, the pool filter's acting up. You didn't cancel something, did you? I didn't respond. Sophie raised an eyebrow. You really did it. I told them. They didn't listen. By 10:40 a.m. My phone buzzed again, this time nonstop 5 calls back to back. I finally picked up. What the hell did you do? She screamed. Morning, Chloe. The power's out. The Wi-Fi's gone. Even the water, Ethan. I told you yesterday, I said evenly. Accounts are in my name. I stopped paying. This isn't funny. There are kids here. Influencers. Then teach them how to live offline. You're evil, she hissed. No, I'm organized. She hung up. Seconds later, Dad called. His voice was low, pleading. You made your point. Turn it back on. I can't. It's no longer mine. You're ruining your nephew's memory. I'm fixing my son's. He exhaled, defeated. You always were dramatic. Maybe I learned from the best, I said, and ended the call. At 10:46, the live stream froze. Chloe mid-laugh, Travis mid-sentence. The comments flooded. Lagging? What happened? Did the stream die? I watched from my phone for a moment, Noah still in my lap. He clapped at the frozen screen, oblivious. All done? He asked. All done, I said softly. By noon, the meltdown was official. Photos started leaking half-deflated balloons, caterers packing up, a grazing table melting under the sundae. Chloe texted me screenshots with captions like, "This is on you," and "Unbelievable." I muted her. At 1 o'clock, there was a knock. I didn't need to look to know who it was. Travis stood at the door, his white linen shirt blotched with something pink frosting. Maybe. He was sweating, furious, holding a paper in his hand. This is insane, he said, shoving past me. You embarrassed us in front of sponsors. I took the paper and invoice, half the cost of the party. You're charging me? You're still on the utility accounts. Technically, you share liability. I laughed, the kind that cuts. Technically, I turned them off. He glared. You think this is funny? We could sue you. For not paying your bills? I asked. Good luck. Sophie appeared from the kitchen, calm as ice. Travis, leave. He hesitated. This isn't over. You're right, I said. It's just finally balanced. He left without slamming the door, maybe too tired, maybe too humiliated. After he was gone, I sat down, opened my laptop again, and expanded the PDF, added new entries. Saturday, 10:43 a.m. Autopay cancellation confirmed. 12:01 p.m. Party disruption reported. Sophie leaned over my shoulder. You're documenting the revenge? It's not revenge, I said. It's record keeping. That night, My phone buzzed again. This time it was Uncle Paul. "What happened out there?" he asked. "I stopped paying their bills." A pause. Then he grunted. "About time." At sunset, Noah was in the backyard with his toy boat, making ripples in a bucket of water. Sophie sat beside him, her head resting against mine. "So, now what?" she whispered. "Now," I said, "we see who they are when the lights don't come back on." By Sunday morning, the storm had moved online. Chloe's feed was flooded with sympathy posts, blurry photos of half-melted cakes, captions about resilience and family testing you. The comments were full of people saying, "Stay strong, queen," and "haters gonna hate." I didn't comment. I didn't even look for long. The performance was too familiar, the public mask she always wore when things cracked behind it. But what she didn't realize was that this time, the cracks were permanent. At 8 a.m., my dad showed up at our door. No knock, just walked in like it was still his house. His hair was messy, his voice rehearsed. "Ethan," he said, "we need to talk." Sophie was making pancakes with Noah. I didn't want him to hear. I stepped onto the porch. Dad followed, shutting the door behind us. "Your mother's upset. Chloe's in tears. She cries on camera, Dad. That's her profession." His jaw tightened. "You crossed a line." "No," I said calmly. "I drew one." He rubbed his forehead. "Son, this isn't who we are. It's exactly who we are," I said. "You just don't like seeing it in daylight." He sighed, the long, disappointed kind of sigh that used to freeze me as a kid. "You think you're teaching her a lesson, but you're destroying what little family we have left." I looked at him, really looked. His eyes were tired, not angry. Maybe what we had wasn't family. Maybe it was just habit. For a moment he didn't speak. Then he said quietly, "Your mother says you're turning cold." I smiled faintly. "I was born cold, Dad. I just stopped pretending it's warmth." He left without another word. By noon, Chloe called again. This time, I answered. I wanted to hear it, the unraveling. Her voice was sharp but trembling. "You humiliated me, Ethan. The brand dropped the collab because of the power failure. Do you understand what that means?" "I do," I said. "It means you finally have to live without a sponsor." She laughed, bitter. "You think you're better than me because you keep your receipts? You're pathetic." "Maybe. But at least I pay my bills." Silence. Then a sound, her voice cracking. Small, almost childlike. "Why do you hate me so much?" "I don't hate you," I said softly. "I just stopped financing your version of love." For a second she didn't reply. I thought she'd hang up. Then she said something I didn't expect. "Dad told me you used to pay their mortgage. Is that true?" I didn't answer. Her voice dropped. "You covered for them, for us, all this time. That's what steady hands do, remember?" I said. "They hold things together, until they stop." She exhaled, shaky. "I didn't know. You never wanted to." Then, before I could say anything else, she hung up. I thought that was it, the end. But endings have a way of dragging their feet. At 3 p.m., the doorbell rang. It was a delivery man with a small envelope. No return address. Inside was a cashier's check for $3,800 and a note written in Chloe's perfect loopy handwriting. "For your files, paid in full." Sophie read it over my shoulder and let out a low whistle. "That's her version of surrender." I smiled. "No, that's her version of control." "Same thing," Sophie said. But I wasn't done. That evening, I sat in the garage with the folder open, every invoice, every line item. I scanned the check, printed a new page, and added it to the back. Paid in full, 7/14, 5:02 p.m. Then I opened my email. 2. Chloe Travis. CC, Uncle Paul. Subject: Final reconciliation. Body: Utilities to be transferred by Friday. Documentation attached. All outstanding amounts settled. No further assistance will be provided. Wishing you stability. I clicked send. A minute later, my phone buzzed. Uncle Paul had replied, "Executed. You're out. Good move." The word "out" hit me harder than I expected. For years, I'd been the invisible infrastructure, the power grid of this family. Now, for the first time, I'd gone offline. I stepped outside. The sun was low, the air thick with the scent of cut grass and something almost like peace. Sophie joined me, barefoot, a glass of iced tea in hand. Noah was running circles around the yard, chasing bubbles. "You feel lighter?" she asked. I nodded. "It's weird. Like I'm missing a noise I didn't know was there." "That's the sound of peace," she said. "It's quiet because it's rare." Inside the house, my phone kept vibrating Chloe again. Then Mom, then Dad. I let it ring. I'd spent decades answering. It was time to let things go unanswered. As the sun dipped below the fence, Noah climbed onto my lap, holding a bubble wand sticky with soap. "Daddy," he said, "can we swim soon?" I smiled, ruffling his hair. "Yeah, buddy, we'll get our own pool." Sophie laughed. "A real one. No sponsors." "No sponsors," I said. "Just us." The air was still, warm. The last bubble floated up, caught the light, and burst. That was the sound of closure, but as it faded, I couldn't shake one thought. Chloe's voice earlier, cracking when she realized the truth. She didn't say thank you. She didn't apologize. She just said she didn't know, and maybe that was the point. You can't teach people who profit from your silence to appreciate your noise. You can only cut the power and let them sit in the dark long enough to notice what light used to feel like. By Monday morning, everything was quiet. Too quiet. No more calls. No more group chats exploding. The family thread had gone from chaos to dead air. I thought it would feel final, it didn't. It felt like the pause between lightning and thunder. Sophie noticed it too. "Over breakfast," she said. "They're regrouping." "Probably," I said. "They'll try to spin it. You going to stop them?" I smiled faintly. "No. I'll let the record speak." That night, I got an email notification. Utility transfer complete. The accounts that had lived under my name for years were finally gone. I clicked open each confirmation slowly, one by one, like cutting old ropes from my wrists. And yet, I couldn't help myself. I built a new spreadsheet not for them, but for me. Title: What they cost, what I learned. Column A: Amounts. Column B: Apologies never received. Column C: Boundaries kept. I didn't send it to anyone. I just kept it proof that lessons, once documented, don't have to be repeated. A few days later, a package arrived on our doorstep. Inside was a framed photo. Noah and Leo, playing in the bathtub at Chloe's house, both laughing. No note, no caption. Just that. Sophie looked at it, unsure. "Olive branch? Maybe," I said. "Or marketing." We both laughed. But here's the thing, the picture wasn't taken by Chloe. It was taken by Travis. I knew because the reflection in the faucet showed him holding the phone, not her. Maybe that meant something. Maybe not. That weekend, I took Noah to the community pool. Chlorine, laughter, sunlight normal, unbranded joy. He splashed, shouted, "Look, Daddy, I'm a fish." I smiled, thinking of the pool that once ran on my money, my name, my quiet obedience. Sometimes revenge isn't fire or fury. It's the absence of reaction. It's a man who finally pays only his own bills, who no longer bleeds for people allergic to gratitude. Still, part of me wondered what would Chloe do next, now that her supplier was gone. The last email I sent her was short, polite, professional. "I wish you well. I've kept every record just in case." She didn't reply. But 2 nights later, I saw a new post on her feed. "Family teaches you boundaries. Sometimes the hard way. No tags, no sponsors. Just a photo of Leo asleep, the lights dim." I scrolled past it, closed the app, and opened the window. The house was dark, peaceful, paid for. And somewhere in the quiet, I smiled, because they finally learned what happens when you pull the plug on entitlement. If you've ever been the one holding your family together while they tear you apart, you already know how this feels. The quiet after the storm. The strange peace that comes when you finally say no. So tell me, have you ever been the responsible one, the fixer, the steady hand? No one thanks until it stops working. Because if you have, you're not alone. Before you go, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe, not for me, but for you. For every silent person who finally decided to stop paying for someone else's chaos. This story isn't over. Neither is yours.